Well, hello, and thank you for having me in your state and your towns. There were a lot of similarities in each area and plenty of ideas and wants and needs. I'm going to be sharing stories and ideas that will work for Jackson County and Grayson, Kentucky. Now, I've sent the individualized reports to Betsy and Ruthie already, and I'm sure they'll be in touch with each of you or those that wish to have them. And also at the end of this presentation are the highlights of what you told me you wanted. And you're going to be able to download this presentation and my notes that you're hearing now. So let's get started. So what do you want? There were 6 topics that rose to the top. They were business, community, arts and beautification, buildings, youth, and recreation. Now we're going to take a look at each section. Here's some of the details and stories of other communities that are doing the kind of things that you would like. You want more businesses in all areas. You'd also like the stores to stay open later. Most of them close at 5 o'clock. Now today, that's not helpful to the working people to shop locally, and incubator spaces would be helpful as well. In Jackson County, there are 58, I believe it's 58 different lodging places that you could partner with for a tourism business. Kathy, who's on the call, pictured here in the back, wants to use her side-by-side to provide transportation to tourists. And she thought she'd need a whole lot more to begin. Well, Judy offered her canoe for Kathy to use when we were at our gathering, and others there shared ideas of how she could get started right away. This is just one of the benefits of bringing people together to talk about their wants and help each other get started. Good news in Jackson County too, I'll share with you. I heard Tim Truitt, the state representative for the region, got the tourism tax, what I'll call heads on beds, to be added to the next county fiscal meeting. Great news. Now, I understand that Kentucky allows counties to charge 3% to visitors who stay in your lodging accommodations. So bear with me while I try to do a little bit of math. So if we average the 58 choices having 3 rooms each available, and they book only 15 rooms a month, that's 2,610 rooms booked each month. And if each room is $100 a night, that'll bring in almost $8,000 a month in revenue. Now, I'm not the best at math, and I don't have a clue what each region will bring in, but I want you to think about it and get the idea on how that will make a difference. Cheers to Timmy Truitt. If more people are going to buy locally, that means we need to find ways to fill our empty buildings and to entice shoppers to come downtown. Karen Anderson set up during a one-night holiday event and sold out her handmade scarves, hats, and gloves. She did it to test her market and found there was one. She tested her product and they loved it. And she was set up in an empty building that was for sale. So here's what she learned. She didn't want to do business full-time in a store like she thought she had. Way too heavy on the production end. She certainly saved a ton of money by testing it out first, didn't she? And she still makes products and puts them in stores around town for sale. Jackson County Creative Community was offered use of an empty lot owned by Kathy right on the highway in downtown McKee. And this is, I think, Lori Tincher's husband who was helping with his weed whacker. I had to take the picture. It was too fabulous. There's a car show happening May 6th, and now there's also a pop-up event happening that day as well. Good work, guys. Can't wait to see the pics from it. In Grayson, there was conversation about setting up an EV station in a parking lot downtown. Now, this gets traffic off the highway and into their main street. I've added a link at the end for a program the state of Kentucky is working on to get more EV charging stations. These 2 gentlemen, they're friends of mine that live in Portugal, and we were visiting small towns, and there are EV stations all over Portugal, and they place them near restaurants and shopping and in small towns. You know, electric vehicles are already in use, and your tourists are driving them. One lady at Big Hill talked about opening up a quilting shop. And there's a wonderful, I love that idea for an empty building. And quilting does bring in people. The Missouri Star Quilt Company in Hamilton, Missouri started 15 years ago in one of the buildings on the main street during 2008, actually, in a town with 1,500 people. They grew their business huge because the owner made YouTube videos all about quilting. Now, this image that you're looking at is from the Louisiana Main Street page, and it is a crocheted ceiling at Church Alley in New Iberia, Louisiana. And their sister city in Spain inspired them to do that. In Belle Plaine, Iowa, the mayor on the right wanted to support the later hours, so he set it up by example. He keeps City Hall open until 8 p.m. on Thursdays, and you can pay your bills, and more people are showing up downtown because the mayor led the way. Did you know 70% of all retail shopping happens after 6 p.m.? Yeah. Dr. Scott Dacko talks about the time of day marketing research. So let's take a look at who shops when. Normally, in mornings, it's older people, unemployed, the non-time pressured people, variety seekers, and families with small kids. Afternoon, it's your youngsters and young adults and people looking for a new experience. So those without time pressure and who have no small children are out there too. And evenings are busy, time pressured people. So succeeding in your evening hours is more like starting a whole new store, targeting different customers and offering different merchandise in different ways. Remember the word experience. That's what you want to do, is give a reason for people to come and experience what it is that you have. Community. If it's a nice place to live, it's a nice place to visit. And creating reasons for locals to stay is vital. They are the backbone of your community. Now, one way to find reasons for locals to stay is to let them lead. Of course, I encourage everyone to run for office if you don't like what's going on. But it really is more than that, because not everyone's going to want to run for office. But you all have ideas. And you've also got people you know who want to work together on creating your ideas. Now, this event above is a perfect example of that. There's a meeting May 8th after dinner with mingling at 5. It's 2.5 hours long. And then the next day at the extension office in McKee is all day long. And of course, they feed you. Judy's on the line here, Judy Schmidt. So if you want more information, you can reach out to her. There's also a link at the end of this presentation where you can go and register. Good work, Judy. Bennettsville, South Carolina, and Red Lodge, Montana have hosted newcomer gatherings. It works really well because the realtors who sold or rented a place personally invite the newcomer to come for a coffee or snack or even a meal and meet their neighbors. They can also ask the questions like, can I burn garbage in town? Or is there somewhere I can volunteer? Or what is there to do around here that the locals know about? That's building community. It's building bridges between your new folks and your old folks. It's important that your youth, those still in school, are heard. Now, we know when a student is involved with a project like painting the streets or building benches, they get to see what community means. This also builds a positive connection to their town. I promise you, the young man who helped build a bench that goes downtown is going to say 30 years later, I helped make that bench. This involvement in their community helps bring them back when they're adults. Let's take a look at arts and beautification. People wanted to see more places to sit downtown. See the crosswalks painted. Arts to become even more included in each community. More murals, public service announcements around art events happening. supported the area's history through the arts, and to make their main streets even more beautiful. And anyone can do that. Give everyone a chance to participate in a small but meaningful way. Why couldn't the county residents cut out paper snowflakes and put inside every empty building in town? Better yet, have the students learn how to make snowflakes from your seniors. And don't stop there. Take a ton of pictures, post them everywhere, write the press release and send it to every paper in the state. Make it a big deal. Maybe have it be about how many snowflakes you have in your county, more than any other county in the state. The top part of this building is empty and needs a lot of work. The old windows were boarded up and just really looked awful. The Community Vitality Director, and this was in my town of Webster City, Iowa, when I lived there, she found a program involving students at the University of Iowa, and they came up with this idea. Large pieces of wood were painted by the citizen volunteers, and they actually feature important people and things in Webster City. Now, the artist drew a paint by numbers drawing on each window, and the boards were kept at the fairgrounds for 2 weeks, and anyone could go out there and help paint. Again, those are small but meaningful steps and a way for everyone to participate. Look for your spaces. Paint your alleys, paint your blank walls, add murals, kids art, tourism-related things. This is a nice blank wall in Grayson that's just screaming for art. You could create an outdoor museum, and it could be anything. These are old cars in Nebraska buried a quarter of the way up, and you can see they stand up tire to tire. You could do that, or you could have a rusted tractor graveyard. What weather-resistant or happily rusty artifacts would tell the story of your town? You could have an outdoor museum trail in the county. Ask those who have junk cars in their yard if you could have them. What creative things could you do with them? And Greg gave me that idea. Also, how could you work with the people who already have these relics in their yards to create art instead of just more trash by the road? You can boost creativity while building community with co-crafting events like Crafternoons. Anywhere from tech enthusiasts to crafters, scientists to garage tinkerers. At these kind of events, novices and experts of all ages come together to share what they're learning. And once you start looking around, you'll see a lot of crafting and making events opportunities. This is in Iowa City, and it's just a small trick they use to get people downtown. More lighting. You know, these lights can stay up year round. You could put solar lights in some of the windows, in the flower pots, and in the trees. Look hard at this picture. Is it real? Well, Hollis, Oklahoma, population 2,060, made up this great idea. And nope, it is not a barber shop. It just looks like one. Even the barber pole wall is just a printed banner hung inside. They created an idea for what was needed in their town and got people thinking about what they wanted. Sure looked like a barber shop to me. Columbiana, Ohio, at least make it look better. Before this broken window was boarded up, it was just waiting for a new business to come here, but it looked like this. And the building owner didn't want to put in a window until he had a renter, so he could build it out to the renter's needs. But it looked like this. The city manager had an idea and hired a local artist to paint this scene, who worked on this painting during an outdoor festival downtown. So lots of people came and watched him work, and many people got to tour the building. And yes, there's a business in there today. This was an empty space inside a coffee shop in Minnesota. They used the wall to feature photos from a local photographer until they could rent it out. Now, you could do this in any business with a blank wall. It doesn't have to be retail. It could be service too. What a great use of a wall space. And photographers, most of them do work from home, so the opportunity to display their work is really important. In Webster City, the mayor held a town cleanup weekend, and it was a little bit different. People actually brought their old things, the garbage, and no longer wanted items to a central location for recycling and proper disposal. And volunteers helped unload cars and trucks, so you didn't even have to get out of your vehicle. Now, the mayor watched for any paint that was turned in so that it looked like it was still good, and he set that aside. That paint was later used in the Paint the Street project. For one day, the street was closed, and each business that wanted to would pay $50 to paint any design they wanted in their section. Now, the funds raised went to support another arts event. Each year, they paint over the designs with white paint and start again. And the mayor was able to kick this off by getting that usable paint at no cost. Well, maybe you can't afford a big name mural artist, but you can take small steps. Let's make some murals with chalk. Start on the blank side of a building, or fill in the space where you used to have a mural but it flaked away. Or turn a blank retaining wall into a colorful spot. Any blank surface is fair game. You can divide up the downtown. Let lots of people create chalk murals in all the blank spaces. After a couple of rains, it just goes away anyway. But before it does, it's going to generate a lot of interest and conversation around creating more art. I'm a huge fan of just do it. When it's temporary, just do it. Chalk is so easy to wash off. Just go ahead. You can do it on the sidewalk in front of your business. Now, lots of towns have chain link fence either downtown or along the major traffic routes, and it's a natural place to hang some art. Indianola, Iowa was renovating their courthouse square, and it was a big hole in the middle of town. They tore out the courthouse and left a big hole. The county made the best of a messy situation by decorating the construction fencing with colorful banners that promote their entire county. And they opened it up to the community for people to submit or sponsor their own banners. Since it's a multi-year project, they will continue to add more banners over time. They're calling it Warren County Strong to reflect the strength that their communities are showing during that tough time. And it's much more attractive than blank chain link in a busy construction site. Almost every town has some flower pots or planters downtown. And usually there are several planters that don't have anything growing in them, or what's in them is dead. Let people in groups and businesses take over maintaining just one pot. Then encourage them to plant lots of colorful plants. Jenny Amy told us, we have stealth gardeners in Southampton, Ontario, who come out and water potted plants that are sad, pull out weeds, and even sometimes spread mulch. They work in the early morning or late evenings, so few people ever see them. And so they really are stealth gardeners. And those planters don't have to be limited to just flowers. What about some tomato plants or berries for picking or other garden items? The town of Lumbee, British Columbia, plants herbs in pots on the utility poles downtown, and everyone is welcome to take some. This is my friend and her grandson. You can paint or set up something people will want to take their picture with. You can paint or chalk on blank walls. For something more durable than chalk, but less permanent than paint on walls, you can paint selfie backdrops on fabric, cardboard, wood, or anything you can find. Then bring them out for special occasions. This is in Van Buren County, Iowa, and they bring it out every year for their countywide festival. Excuse me. Want people to use your hashtags? Well, just post them. You'll be getting more people to help promote your community. One moment, please. Apologies. When I visited Paulding, Ohio, there was a big sign painted on the wall of an empty building. It was advertising a business that was no longer even there. and the building owner lived in China. Before I left, we covered it by painting their favorite hashtag promoting the town. And no, we did not ask for permission. Lots of people honked and cheered when they drove by, including the county sheriff. Well, this was a good way to make more locals aware of the My Paulding hashtag. Make your empty lot comfier and home-like. Hold some conversations there. This was a temporary art community project, but it makes perfect sense to try for a longer time in a roofless building. This is in Lyons, Nebraska, and it could be a place where the mayor or anyone can set up and invite people to come talk about any topic. There's lots of empty buildings in both locations. Let's take a visit about why they're empty and what you can do about it. And in this picture, I really do like the snowman on the window. The profanity, not so much. Centerville, South Dakota adopted a local vacant building ordinance that makes it costly to use spaces for cheap storage, and fees are charged for rundown, dilapidated properties as well. Fayetteville, North Carolina targeted vacant commercial properties in their downtown and started requiring inspection by the fire department every 6 months. Callender, Iowa, and Stanhope, Iowa, both small towns under 1,000 people, have changed their city code and added a property maintenance code for both the exterior and interior of the buildings. I like it because it sets forth a detailed plan of action, a fine structure, and no nonsense, do this or we will take the building from you attitude. Let's take a new look at incentives. You might want to talk to your local economic development group or city council and create some targeted incentives to help meet part of the cost of repair. Instead of only having incentives for recruiting new business, consider incentives to address the specific loss of compliance to code. Now let's look at some numbers for an empty building. In 2013, the potential lost revenue of an empty building in 1 year was over $220,000. And I really don't think people and owners realize this. Now, these numbers are from 10 years ago in Iowa. Imagine what they are now. Start a list of empty and vacant buildings, and you can keep track of them. The mayor and Grayson shared the site Land Glide. This inventory can be posted publicly on a website, available at your county offices or anywhere folks go to find a place to rent or buy. And clean up your downtown empty buildings. You know, there are empty buildings that need something in the windows. This is an advertisement for Bennettsville, South Carolina 200-year anniversary, but you can put any kind of artwork, murals, signage. There's all kinds of ideas of what to put in the windows. Now I'm going to tell you a story. I went for an interview as chamber director in Webster City, Iowa 10 years ago and counted 14 empty buildings downtown. I knew my new job would be to fill them, and I got the job. Their one big manufacturer, Electrolux, had moved to Mexico 2 years before. That's 2,000 people out of work, 2,000 people without the money to shop at the stores downtown. And their worst fears had materialized. And the town had the negative attitude that this would never get better. Our savior company had left. Businesses closed because they couldn't see a way forward. Building owners began to see how they could use their empty buildings as a tax write-off or fill it with storage. No one wanted to talk about all the empty buildings. No one. They were a sign of loss, and who wants to focus on that? Well, I knew we couldn't continue to ignore those buildings. We needed to showcase them in some way. And I believe that we could fill the buildings and that right now there were people who wanted to fill them. I knew that we needed to show the buildings off, tell their stories, and dream about their future. It would need to be a project filled with lots of people involved in small ways and, of course, very transparent. We needed to stop talking about it used to be this way and start talking about the positive ways to fill the buildings going forward. The day of the tour came and 44 people attended. We considered that a success. Several people talked about buying buildings and starting new buildings. At the wrap-up coffee gathering, everybody was excited. But the small steps didn't stop there. During the tour, our chamber champions not only told the history of the building, but shared their ideas about what could be in them in the future. It sparked all kinds of conversations and ideas, and they continue to follow up with the people they spoke to. Some of our local business people shared the list of buildings with people they knew and encouraged them to move to a town that was moving forward. I wrote press releases from our chamber and sent them to other chambers and economic developers and state contacts. Here's the good news. In 18 months, 10 of those buildings were filled. Now, here's something that came out of the tour of empty buildings. We created an informal incubator project. We had a building owner that had several buildings downtown. I approached them with the incubator project idea. Put your buildings in the program and you offer 3 months free rent and reduce rent the rest of the year. The chamber agreed to help those businesses that went into those buildings with marketing, and the Small Business Development Center came in to help the business with creating a valuable business plan while they were actually in business. The benefits to the owner, at least someone was paying their utilities. Every building needs love, and this provided that. The business could leave at any time. Remember, it's a way to test out the business idea, or they could stay as long as they wanted. Did it work? Yes. First, there was an Italian restaurant, and boy, was it good. They lasted a year and had to move because the husband got a much better job out of state. But no worries, the Mexican grocery store across the street wanted to open their own restaurant in their store. Well, they were saving money for a commercial hood, and those aren't cheap. In the meantime, they tried the incubator space out. They got to experiment with different recipes, different hours, and different servers. They tested their idea and found out it was a good one. Today, they're opening their own store. Here's another idea: divide and share. Make a space that multiple businesses can divide and share. And it can be a space carefully designed for compatible small retail shops, like Kathy Lloyd shared with us from Washington, Iowa. It's an old J.C. Penney's building, and it was just too big for one retail store, and it sat empty for quite a while. Then a group of women brainstormed and created the village. And this is it. The table, the wall, the tree, the boutique, they're all stores. It's a perfect way for a person going into business for themselves to try out their idea and test the market. It's a low investment and not thousands and thousands of dollars to buy a building, fix it up, purchase inventory, and hope someone comes in and buys. You could set up a farmer's market. You could house an indoor farmer's market. I really like how this would bring your farmer's market right downtown and be available year-round. Let's look at Porterdale, Georgia. They had a huge community center and gymnasium, 12,000 square feet, built in 1939 and burned in 2005. They stabled it in 2012. It's now an event space that has hosted concerts, food festivals, weddings. There you go. For a town of 1,281 people, it's now a huge asset instead of an eyesore right in the middle of their downtown. Now, small businesses, small towns don't have to settle for business as usual. And entrepreneurship is the best way to support small towns. When local people start their own businesses and prosper, they help their towns to prosper too. Rural entrepreneurs are exploring new shapes, new locations, and lots of new ways of doing business. Now, this block-size empty lot used to have a business there. Tynesta, Pennsylvania, population 500 people, saw the building that was there before burned down. And that lot sat empty for 10 years until someone had an idea. What if they took garden sheds, dressed them up, and put them on this lot? And they did exactly that. And this is what it looks like today. You can use inexpensive garden sheds to create a bunch of tiny business spaces. It's kind of a business incubator, and it would work in a roofless building just as well as an empty lot. And here, take a look from the back. They really are garden sheds, and there are 11 of them around this small empty lot, and they're busy all the time. This is in Pascagoula, Mississippi, not too far from where I live now. They had a big old dirty lot in town. And after Hurricane Katrina, somebody had this great idea to use the leftover housing from FEMA to build out Anchor Square. And they put a deck around it too. And they have green space as well, right in front, and room for pop-ups and small vendors to try their idea out before they move into these Anchor Square buildings. And then when those work, they can move into other empty buildings downtown. Youth was our next topic. Through decades of hearing about the brain drain of young people graduating and leaving small towns, we missed noticing a significant return flow of young adults. And it was easy to miss because we don't have anything like a graduation ceremony to draw attention to our brain gain families. Dr. Ben Winchester with University of Minnesota found these 30 to 44-year-olds arrive with college degrees, years of experience in the workplace, and large professional networks. Often, they're families with young children boosting the rural school enrollments. And frequently, they're picking out a small community that they have never lived in before. So they represent a recruiting opportunity. Younger families today are picking where they want to live first and finding their work second. Frequently, they're finding it online or starting their own businesses. Ben says there are 3 reasons young people 30 to 44 move to rural communities: slower pace of life, safety and security, and low cost of housing. Jobs didn't even make the top 8 reasons for moving back because they're often making their own jobs by working online. So if you're focusing on creating jobs to help recruiting new residents, you're missing a key motivator. One terrific youth entrepreneurship program happens in Norfolk County, Ontario. They have a summer project for kids in grades 6 through 12, and it's called the Student Startup Project, or SUP. Kids can apply for real money to start a real business. They submit a quite simple explanation of what business they want to start, following an elementary level business plan template. Over the years, Norfolk County has offered anywhere from $50 to $200 in startup grants to the kids, depending on how much funding is available. Then the kids run their businesses all summer. And during the summer, Norfolk County holds a special marketplace event where the young entrepreneurs can feature their businesses in booths and displays. I'm sure people in the county look forward to this every year. At the end of the summer, kids can earn a small cash bonus by turning in a final report that looks kind of like a simple profit and loss statement. And why not add a non-voting student to your city council? What a wonderful way to get insight from young people on an ongoing basis. You want your kids to stay home or come back home? Well, go to the local schools and tell them what you do. Even better, bring kids on tours of your workplace. Hire them as interns and pay them. Don't make them guess what kind of work you do. Let them see and do it. We're going to talk recreation here, and it's a nice long list. Many rural places I travel have natural resources, trails, and fun recreational things to do, and you're no different. But what I do notice is that rural folks don't recognize all they do have. Now, folks said they wanted more things to do for all ages. They want to make their parks even better, Use history as a place for tourists to have some fun. Some of my favorite requests were a homecoming parade for the students in the college in the same week, and heck, why not a parade for all the sports? Also, an access point for kayaks on Sandy River in Grayson downtown is a really great idea too. How could you create small groups of ninjas that do things like trim edges and pull weeds and clean statues? And it could be adults and students. They could paint picnic tables, build new ones, repair, or even build a new overhead shelter. Getting our kids invested in these kind of projects is the kind of work you want them to do. It also commits them to our community and helps bring them back. I live in Gulfport, Mississippi, and just read a comment on Facebook. Why is there so much trash on the beach? And one person answered, just pick up what's around you. It takes a few minutes, do your part. And really, that's a great first step. Rock Creek, Colorado, took an empty lot and created a mini golf course. They also added a mural on the side of the building. Now, where could you do this in your town? I love the idea of the mini golf course. But let's look at new events. Jeepin' Jackson is coming to town. Did you know about it? May 6th, there's a car show, and the creative community has found a way to pop up in an empty lot in that time frame. You know, events are a lot of fun, aren't they? Unless you're planning them. And I have a secret about how to make them even more successful. Don't plan them all out. If you do all the planning, the only choice you give people is whether they should come or not. Instead, leave room for locals to do some things. I had to plan a big event for a 12-hour day. So instead of planning it all out, I just asked people what they wanted to do. Then I put them in charge of that, just that. One guy wanted a chili cook-off, and I told him, go for it. And here's your spot. A local youth group wanted to bring their human foosball game to the event. And of course, we said yes. The secret is, if you let people be a part of the fun with what they want to do, they bring their family and friends with them. Here's a wild idea. Do you have to do fundraising? Of course you do. Well, this is an event idea. It's a no pancake breakfast. I heard about a local service organization who always made the pancakes at their annual fundraiser, but they were getting old and tired. So instead, they sold tickets at $5 a piece. You bought your ticket, and on the day of the event, you made your own breakfast and posted pictures on their Facebook page. Not only did everyone have fun, but the old pancake makers were thrilled with the event, and they made more money than when they actually made pancakes. The students, if you ask them, almost always say they want a Taco Bell. Well, don't tell them no. Instead, start with a trial run. Declare Taco Tuesday and have them do the shopping and make the food and learn the value of the products and how to be a good salesperson. Let them do the math, figure out what to buy, make all the promotional pieces, and create $5 meal deals. And finally, feed everyone, whether they can afford it or not. You want to let the kids learn the value of giving too. Benches. Make benches. Now, this is an art piece made out of an old propane tank. Anybody in your town that could do that? Or ask the shop class to design and make benches for your downtown. You could just budget the monies and let the city buy benches from the standard bench place. That's what a lot of towns do. And it makes them more uniform and maybe last longer. But that's not building community. Things don't always have to match. Involving local artists, students, and just regular folks get the community involved. There's a piece of ownership in it. Make it a project where many people can be involved in large and small ways, and of course, have some fun. Just a few more things. We're almost done. For those of you who have never been, this is the art place in Grayson. Dick is on the broadcast with us. You know, you're only as good as your employees, and some say you get what you pay for. So how do you get better paying jobs in the county? Well, start with exploring the trades and trade schools. Get the information you need from them to get their graduates into your towns. Even more important, talk about the intangible benefits of living in rural America. And what are those? Smaller schools, safer communities, slower pace of life, and a better quality of life. Oh, and your money goes a lot further. And let's talk recreation too. As young families come home to small towns, the remote workers are right on their heels. Stanford economist Nicholas Bloom says we see an incredible 42% of the U.S. labor force now working from home full time. MainStreet.org says at the end of the day, the strength of this trend will be determined by how communities position themselves to leverage this growing interest in rural and small towns. When I was with the group trying to save the local theater, we needed ideas for ways to raise money besides the usual bake sales and begging. Alumni clubs are kind of a big deal in that town. So we made up the idea to sell the theater seats at $300 a pop to anyone, individuals, nonprofits, alumni clubs, even businesses. And the local newspaper posted photos of everyone who bought a seat. And at $300, we sold all the seats, and it was a substantial chunk of funds raised. So don't forget your alumni. They want to help too. Some of you heard me talk about coffee and calendars. This is where you can start with inviting the nonprofits and organizations that plan activities to an hour or two of coffee and calendars and ask them to bring their calendars. You'll find out things about the organizations you didn't know. You'll figure out how to create a day of events instead of a day of events all at the same time. And you'll be building community by working together. Do you need more volunteers? Who doesn't? Well, stop requiring your volunteers to commit to a year-long committee or longer. Ask them to step up for a 2-hour shift, and you're going to get more help. Listen to their ideas and let them try it out. Involve students and don't just make them responsible for the garbage. What else can they do? And finally, reward your volunteers. Make it worth their while. Acknowledge their hard work in a public way. This was a group of volunteers that got to participate at the car races in the special section just for themselves. It mattered. Leave the committee of negativity alone. They won't help you anyway. Start by talking to people like you who want to save their towns. You'll hear lots of ideas and you want to encourage all the ideas. So what if one or two fail? It's just a test of what works and what doesn't. And carry your positive attitude forward. Don't be dismayed. Show off what you have and keep people dreaming. As a gift from Becky McCrae and I, the top one, SaveYour.Town /gift, is a 30-minute video about the idea-friendly method. And the bottom one is this presentation you just heard. And as soon as I finish recording and am able to load it to YouTube, I'll put the video up there as well. Oh, let me show you some of the other stuff that's here. So as you look through stuff, you'll see some links to explore. And each section is listed. So Jackson County businesses, for example, they most wanted a general, a grocery store, and restaurants, followed pretty quickly by call center, offices, quilting, retail, and it goes on. Community section, youth. So you get the idea. And you'll have that all as well at this location on the screen. Now let's take a look at what's in the chat room. You guys have been sharing stuff with me. Thank you. All right. This is where you can join in and talk. So Ruthie's talking about prom. That's fun. Hi, Ruthie.
Hey.
And Tal Jones asked, Does anyone know what New Iberia is famous
And
for?
so you basically, yeah, so you'll be helping them tell their stories. And so what will happen? Really get on
Tabasco, Betsy says. Is that true?
that city of Fillmore,
I
right?
thought so, but I'm not positive.
Well, and Ruthie says ham, baby.
I don't know.
But Tal says yes to both and Louisiana hot sauce. That's interesting. Mike, thanks for loving the idea. And Betsy, mini mural project. Tell me about that.
So the Jackson County Creative Community is working on a mini mural project, and we've Judy and Lori and some others have distributed entry forms to every school in the county, and including the homeschooling groups. And we're going to select 8 designs from the kids. I think it's 7 or 8, and make murals that are the size of a piece of plywood. And those will be installed around the county in different places. And then there'll be a map for folks to go look at all the murals. It's really based on, what was the theme, Lori? My Life in Jackson County or something like that?
She's nodding yes. She's at work and not really able to talk. That's brilliant. And I hope that all the pictures get, at least the pictures get displayed somewhere, whether it's at a Facebook site or Flickr or even on the window of an empty building.
Yeah. And there will be a 2-day camp in, I think it's in early July, to have kids come. It'll be at the extension office and actually paint the murals. So the kids, any child in the county will be open to come.
That's great. Are you going to do it kind of like paint by number, maybe?
That's
Who
not
knows?
my area.
Okay. Or go for broke, right? Let the kids do it. Thank you, Betsy. Melissa said, I would love to do something with my students like this, and I can try to talk to Carpenters Trucking into a mural in Annville. Melissa, are you still on the line? Nope, she shook her
I think
head.
Melissa had to hop off. She said that right after you had showed the picture of the cars that were, planted in the ground and made into sculpture.
Oh, that would be
I
fun.
don't know if that's exactly what she was talking about.
Could be. Carpenters Trucking. That's great. They'd probably have some old things. I like that. Let's see what else we got going on here. Deco Art in Stanford gave Melissa a bus full of paint last year, and they regularly make donations to schools. I can get more, and I have plenty here to do a couple of murals. That's awesome. And share the good news of people that make these donations. I don't think we talk enough about the people that help us out. And that's as simple as, making a post on social media somewhere or writing a little short article and sending it to the paper. They like to have news. Please give it to them. All right, Betsy, you talked about the creative community meeting tonight at 6. Where is that at?
It's at the extension office. Meets the fourth Monday of the month at the extension office every month.
Okay, and it will be to discuss other plans already in the works, but thanks for sharing already. Oh, the answer's there. Okay, Tal had to run. Eric said he'll try. Eric also saved some information, I think, about the Jeepin' in Jackson. That would be my guess. Cool pictures. And Melissa's the art teacher. So everyone, are there any questions? Okay, Greg, tell me what you're going to do with trash on the side of the road.
Okay, say again, I'm sorry.
Tell me what you're going to do with the trash on the side of the road.
Crash on the side of the road. Well, how about a suggestion from you?
Well, I know we talked, I kind of set him up on this one. He liked the creating Terminators. Y'all know what Terminators are from the movies. It's where it looks like a car, but then Miss Sizemore, it turns into a great big human looking thing, kind of robot thing. Okay.
Oh, Transformers. My kid loves Transformers. They're robots.
Okay. Terminators. Oh, that's Schwarzenegger. Sorry. Transformers. So Greg talked about how he'd like to do that. I bet you there's somebody here that might help you with that project. What
I'm
do you
thinking
need?
vocational school would be great if we could get those folks involved.
So the first thing you have to do is go talk to him. Right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know me, when are you going to do that?
Oh, immediately.
Okay, that is the
And I will
correct.
report back to you, ma'am.
Send pictures. We love pictures. I
Okay.
share whatever you guys send with me. I end up sharing across social media and often in presentations like this. I want to touch a minute with Lynetta. I was moved beyond belief at our visit at your place there. They own the gas station in
Whistle stop.
Whistle Stop. But they also own the building that's connected to it. And when we went, they were serving food to anybody that came in. And Lynetta taught me a lesson in loving people just as they are and not expecting more than what they have to offer. That was a big deal. Thank you for sharing
Oh.
that lesson.
Thank you, Deb.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us what's going on in your neck of the woods?
I'm going to go ahead and do a summer kids program kind of thing for 6 weeks during the summer on every Monday. And then I have someone from the creative community coming each Monday to do a craft or talent with them. I'm excited about that. I think it'll go good. And you gave me some excellent ideas today. You've got my mind rolling. But excellent ideas to do with the kids around here. And I appreciate that.
That is the purpose of it. I know, Lori, thank you, Lynetta. Lori, I know you're at work. Can you take a minute and come online for a minute? Share with us some of the conversations you had with the artist in Grayson and how they helped you out.
So Dan Click is on here. He messaged me up. He privately messaged me during one of our Zoom meetings. But there is there's a lot of people here that have problems with substance abuse, and it was really weighing on me to be able to provide a mommy and me paint class for these people that have strived and worked so hard. So, Dan Click privately messaged me and he said, whatever you need. So Dan Click, and the Grayson Art Gallery, who I'd never met, I never met these people, provided me canvases. So I'm going to be able to do that. I've already done one class, and it was a private mommy and me class, and it went great. The kids loved it. The mommy gave me a hug before she left, and she's going to be speaking to another gentleman that's getting out of jail the middle of May. So he's going to be able to come to a free Daddy and Me paint class with his 2 children that he hasn't, he hasn't seen them other than visit him when they come to the jail to see him. So that class is taken care of because, Grayson Art Gallery partnered with me. I had the paints, but I couldn't afford the canvases and not to charge. So this way I can provide a free paint class for people that are striving and working hard, and they're going to get to experience something positive with their children that's free. That there's no condition to it, and nobody knows. So when I post these classes, I don't say, oh, this was a sponsored class. As far as everybody else knows in the community, this mommy shelled out $25 each for her children, the same as anybody else. It's not about making anybody look like a charity case or anything like that. Nobody knows other than the people, that's in this group. That's not something that's advertised. oh, they went to a free paint class. No, everybody on Facebook thinks they paid the same as everybody else. You know, it's not about for the show. It's not about to make them feel like they're a charity case. That's not what it is. I'm seeing these people work really, really hard, and it just weighed on me to get to do this for them.
So,
With Dan Click's help, I was able to do that.
yeah, Dan's just a wonderful man, that's for sure. And I'm so glad that he started that conversation between the two communities as well. And you just made me think of another idea. There are businesses that are trying to find ways to help build community and donate in create sponsorships that actually mean something. So it's an idea for you to maybe work with Ruthie and Betsy and explore how you can create a kind of partnership with some local businesses or even businesses in the state to sponsor these mommy and me's so that everybody can come free. Just an idea. Grant Martin, thank you, Lori. Hi, Grant. Are you in your tractor? Where are you at?
Yes, I'm sitting in the tractor.
That's awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Tell us what you thought and what ideas appealed to you today. And where are you? What town are you near?
I live on the Rockcastle Jackson County line. I'm closest town to is Sand Gap, and Three Links is a little community that I live in. A lot of history here. I really like the ideas about reaching out to people, the mommies and the daughters and the fathers and the sons, and I really like those kind of things. I'm a pastor, so people's hearts are close to me, and I really like seeing those things. They can make a difference and help families to be able to stay together.
Grant, are you the one that was a former dairy farmer? Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
So I have shared your story about what you've been doing with what you'd like to do with the dairy barn. Can you share that with the group here listening?
We wanted to find something we could do with the dairy barn that would not let it just go to waste. I see so many dairies throughout the last 15 years that went out of business, and it just the barns were torn down and it was forgotten that was ever there, and that really bothered me. So we went into kind of pursuing some things. I'd always had interest in woodworking, and something we wanted to add to that was laser engraving. And we do that kind of thing. A lot of times we do engraving photos on the wood and that kind of thing. And we incorporate that in with our ministry. There's a lot of things, community members lose a family member, we'll do a photo on wood, engrave it, and it's always touching to me to see how that brings just a little moment of kind of a little change of focus, a little encouragement. Someone cares. Or back to the things that I heard people mention that tries to encourage families and encourage people knowing that others care about them. I really appreciate that, and that's what we're trying to do in what we're doing as an extension of our ministry. That we can find unique ways to share that.
Gotcha. Betsy's asking Eric, did Grant do that plaque? So if you guys go in the chat room, you'll see some links and some pictures. I think he did, Betsy, actually. That's the picture or the plaque that, I better go look at it before I lie to you, sorry. Yes, I think that's one of Eric's, isn't it? Or one of Grant's, the Hill Climb Series Summit Racing one.
Oh yeah,
The awards.
Yeah, they were their trophy plaques for the Pine Mountain Hillside. Mm-hmm.
What a great idea for a gift too. And I hope that you do invite others to join you in the dairy barn occasionally to try out some of their ideas as well.
Right, right.
I'm sure you will. I have no doubt about it. Rita, good morning. Good afternoon, I guess your way, huh? She's not going to talk to me today. Dan, can we see you? Can you come online? Maybe not. Well, Dan Click, thank you very much for all the work that you're doing. And Kitty, tell us a little bit about what you're with Kentucky Main Street. What did you hear that was interesting to you today? Anything?
I just wanted to listen because obviously I've been working with Grayson, and I know lots of people on this call, and I wanted to see what kinds of things that your program might provide those communities. So I was just here more of a listening session today, and to see how we might help facilitate some of this work.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're pleased to have you for sure.
Thank you.
Betsy, I got you about Dan's connectivity. So that's what's interesting about McKee. Best internet, I think, in the United States, right? And then when you travel outside of the area, like Iowa or Grayson, you're not as fortunate. So maybe some connections can be built, Dan, with PRTC folks. I said those initials right, correct? Okay, good for me. Judy, tell us about the event coming up.
Yeah, on May 8th and May 9th, we have a lot of officials and dignitaries coming in to try to help to see how we can further incorporate the Danny Boone National Forest into our downtowns and into our small communities, and be able to create a better outdoor recreational economy. So everybody is invited. There should be a thing in the paper this week or last week. May 8th, it's a Monday in the afternoon at 5 o'clock at the Extension Event Center. And then all day on Tuesday, come up with ideas. And if you have children, ask your kids, what do they want in this county, and bring them to those meetings so we can get their input on how to create a better outdoor recreation economy for our community.
So if people are unable to attend, do you want to share a way they can contact you, like maybe email or something with their ideas or questions for you to ask?
Yeah, if you have any questions, or if you have ideas you want to share and can't make the meeting, send it to my email. It's jctech, JCTEC at prtcnet.org, and I'll put that in the chat too.
Perfect. And for those of you listening, if you open your chat box up and you see the 3 dots, you ought to be able to just click on Save Chat. So Eric has put quite a bit of information in there and some pictures, and Judy's going to put her email. And if you have questions for me, feel free to add it to the chat box, or, once you hang up, you always think of something, right? You can email me at deb@SaveYour.Town, and I'll put my email address in there as well. Do send emails. I get around to them. I do answer them, and I want to continue to hear things going on in your community. We are 5 minutes over the hour. Any other questions or comments that anyone would like to make before we sign off? Greg wants to know when I'm coming back. I don't have an answer yet, Greg, but I do want to come back and see what you do with that holler of yours.
Well, yeah, and then maybe you can see our junk car transformer when you come back.
There you go. Transformer, not Terminator, although that might be fun too.
Well, real quick on me, and I'll shut up real quick. Of course, we had an eventful weekend. We brought in almost $4.7 million, I believe, into Bell County, Kentucky.
This is Eric talking, everybody.
But tomorrow we will have flying in today or tomorrow morning, Subaru, the heads of Subaru Motorsports will be coming into Jackson County and taking a look at opportunities. We, of course, submit our forms to the National Forest and SF-299s and all that for potential of community buy-in. Subaru is willing for a 2-mile test per day with volunteer fire department is $10,000 for 5 days to test, and the agreement is still upon that all 15 people coming in will stay at an Airbnb inside Jackson County. That's my terms. And we'll be working on catering food and stuff like that for them while they're up there testing their new prototype car.
Excellent. And hey, do me a favor, tell the Subaru people more dog commercials, please, in Jackson County.
I don't think that's what this group of Subaru cares about. They're about winning. So,
hear
but
you.
I will bring that up.
I hear you. And Dan and Mindy both said they're going to host, and you guys can do that too. Use the video and the notes as often and as widespread as you want to. They're going to host another meeting next week to share the video and information with those who couldn't make it. Kathy Spurlock, real quick, keep up your good work. Thanks for donating the use of the empty lot. I cannot wait to see it filled with pop-ups in it.
You're welcome. No problem.
Well, everybody, thank you very much.
Jackson County folks, if you can join us tonight at 6, please do.
That's right.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you guys.
I learned a lot just by you being here, and I hope, and I'm sure everybody else in this group did as well. So really appreciate you coming.
Thanks, guys. Hey, have a good week.
All right, you too.
Bye now.